And the reason why I'm asking this is that we can only see a few videos of the old days now on YouTube. And one of the famous video would be Maharaja by Haran Takim. That looks really different from ours. So.
Maharaja's not about
Balboa.
Okay.
가능하면 질문을 한 번만 해주시고요. 어차피 통일을 해야 되기 때문에 참고로 한 번 더 해주세요.
질문이 뭐냐면 지금 예전에 발보아 스타일이 어떻게 춤는지 궁금하고 그다음에 유명한 사람들의 스타일이 어떻게 다른지 그리고 유튜브에 나와 있는 마하라자의 그 영상 같은 경우 되게 다른데 어떻게 된 건지 설명해 주세요.
So Maharaja is they do a couple Balboa basics in it, but it's not a Balboa dance. It's really a jitterbug dance.
마라자는 우선 지표곡 댄서고요. 이제 발보아의 그런 기본적인 패턴을 이용을 하긴 했지만 발보아 댄서는 아니에요.
And a lot of people think of it as Balboa, but to me it's not.
많은 사람들이 마라자를 발보아 댄서라고 생각하는 사람들도 있지만 본인은 발보아 댄서라고 생각하지 않으시네요.
It's an awesome dance.
잘 추는 사람이에요. 잘 추는 사람이에요.
But there wasn't a lot of, because Balboa was not as flashy as Lindy Hop with aerials, they did not put it in the movies as much.
그리고 이제 린디아 같은 경우는 막 에어리얼도 굉장히 화려하지만 발보아는 화려하지 않아서 영화 속에 많이.
When it was in the movies, it was in the far background of the movies. It wasn't in the foreground.
그리고 이제 그 주인공이 아니라 백그라운드 식으로는 영화 속에 있었지만 여기 주인공이 된 적은 없었어요.
So there wasn't a lot of video of, there's not a lot of visuals left of it. The only things that we really have was taken in the 1970s and 1980s at a club in Los Angeles where the old guys were dancing, and that's mostly most of the visuals we have.
우리가 지금 갖고 있는 그 비주얼 중에서는 보통 1970년대쯤에 그때쯤에 클럽에서 많이 했던 그런 영상들이 많이 있을 거예요.
And there were a lot of dances that were closed position dances that people, because they don't know any better, they just assume that they're Balboa. If they're not Shag, they're Balboa. But in fact, there were many different ones.
보통 클로즈업 포지션에서 춤을 추면 쉐그가 아니면 그냥 발보아야 라고 이렇게 되게 많이 얘기를 했대요.
Yes. Is that?
So can we assume that our dances look like?
Well, yeah, I mean, basically, you know, taking Lindy Hop, because we have more visuals to compare. Lindy Hop in 1936 looked really different than Lindy Hop in 1940, and that was only 4 years different.
그 1936년도와 1940년대의 인디아도 정말 굉장히 다르대요. 4년밖에 차이가 나지 않지만.
So, I mean, it all changes, but you can still tell that it's Lindy Hop.
근데 계속 이렇게 변화하고 있고요. 하지만 우리는 그거를 인디아드라고 부르고 있죠.
And Balboa, you know, looks different today in that back in the day, I think Nick may have mentioned this in our last class, is that most of the leaders had maybe 5 or 6, they had the basic things, you know, come rounds, throw out to the bell, swing, but they maybe had 3 or 4 cool moves that they did, but mostly they did simple dancing and made it beautiful. And today, everybody knows all the patterns.
우선은 지금 현재의 발보아와 예전의 발보아의 큰 차이점은 예전에는 정말 한 몇 가지의 굉장히 멋진 동작들과 아주 그냥 기본적인 것들을 많이 했다면 지금 최근에 이제 발보아들은 사람들이 다 알고 있어요. 많은 동작들, 되게 멋지고 그런 것들. 아마 그래서 좀 다르게 보이지 않을까.
So for me, what's different today in current Balboa versus what I saw when I was first introduced to it is that most couples or most people in a dance will do 20 different things, and back in the day, people did 4 different things.
And those were their things.
기억 못해요. 자, 본인이 맨 처음에 발보아를 터뜨렸을 때와 이제 지금의 가장 큰 차이점을 본다면 지금은 멋진 동작들을 만약에 20개 정도로 사람들이 막 한다면 예전에는 한 4개 정도? 그 정도밖에 안 했기 때문에 아마 차이가 크게 느껴질 거라면.
You're wrong.
Well, it was just it was a short thing anyway. I was just saying
That's what I have to say.
those moves that they did were always their own. They weren't. I mean, when you watch, you guys were talking about Hal Takir before in Maharaja. I mean, Hal's dancing was Hal.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't Lindy that everybody did, it was how. You know, when you look at a dancer, he was that person as opposed to this is what everybody does. Now with YouTube and a lot of other things, everyone is a conglomeration of different dancers. But I will say, even for our time, there's a part of me that misses the fact that I could go to different cities and know where people were from because of how they moved. And it is becoming much more
homogeneous.
그리고 이제 우선 마라가 있었던 그 시기에는 그 사람만 독보적이었대요. 영화예요.
영화 나온 사람 탈타키어라는 사람. 탈타키어가 유명한
아, 그렇구나. 하여튼 그래서 그때는 그 사람만이 정말 이렇게 독보적인 존재였기 때문에 아, 그 사람이 등장을 하면 우와 이제 이랬는데 요즘에는 어떤 사람이든 우와 할 사람이 굉장히 많은 거예요. 그런 큰 차이점이 있다는 거예요.
There was a push several years ago in the scene to try to understand and be able to do what the original dancers did. But ever since then, it's the focus has been elsewhere about coming up with new things and trying new things, so that there are things that have been lost in the general scene, the Balboa scene, of what the old timers did and how they danced and what they looked like.
Yes.
Several years ago in our scene, let's say like 7-8 years ago, there was a push to understand and be able to dance as the old timers danced.
The technique and the flow and make the dance look the same as what the old people do.
옛날에는 이제 그 예전 동영상이나 이런 거 보면서 굉장히 그거를 따라하고서 굉장히 많이 노력을 했대요.
Since then, there's been a push to the focus has been to try to come up with new things and new ideas and new patterns and new movements. And so the focus on the old timers has been lost. And so a lot of dancers who've been dancing the last 5 years have not been able to gain that. And it's slowly losing that.
근데 최근의 사람들은 이제 예전 거를 따라하는 것도 굉장히 중요하지만 새로운 거를 만들어내는 거를 또 굉장히 중요하게 생각을 해서 초점이 약간 변화를 한 것 같다고요.
We want the dance to evolve and be current, not just something that's a history piece. But it still needs to have the essence that makes Balboa Balboa and not any other dance. And that would be continuation of movement, flow, and a smoothness to it so that it doesn't become just Charleston, different Charleston things.
우선 예전 것과 현재 것이 이렇게 잘 어우러졌을 때 더 멋진 춤이 나오는 것 같다고 생각을 했네요.
예.
다음 질문 넘어갈까요?